Call on him, and he will lead and guide you, my friends. On this Wednesday, the week is almost over. Don't step aside now. Don't get weary now. Continue to seek him. Press in. Call on him. He will lead and guide you. Those decisions that you have to make, those pleasant paths that you want to walk in, that wise counsel that you need throughout your life, that wisdom, that Holy Spirit, that discernment that you need, God's got it. He can show you how to get honey out of the rock. That's talking about blessing you in a hard place. He has everything you need, and you have everything you need in him. Brothers and sisters, hey, this is wise counsel. Seek him, call on him, pray to him, meditate, talk to him, and he'll listen, and he will give you answers that you need to make the right decisions in your life. So just seek him right now. Seek him right now, and he will come. Remember, keep in front of you Almighty God. Keep on both sides of you love and kindness. Keep under you an unquenchable fire. Keep behind you all your fears, doubts, and failures. Keep above you and open to serve all mankind, and you will make an impact in someone's life. Be encouraged today, my brothers and sisters, and don't lose heart, dear ones. Don't lose heart. Press in. Keep going. God is not done with you yet. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. So call on him, and he will answer. Praise God.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Happy New Year from Hammers. Get this year started off right with new bargains from Hammers. Since 1952, Hammers has been bringing low prices and incredible deals to East Tennessee. The Hammers family will continue to make sure that our stores provide the same everyday low prices from your favorite brands in clothing and home goods in 2024. We want our customers, old and new, to have the same great shopping experience as in the good old days. Come on out and check out our famous brands like Carhartt, Wrangler, Columbia, Simply Southern, and many of the latest ladies' boutique brands at Hammers' low prices. Redecorating in the new year? Come on out and shop our great selection of area rugs and home decor. So before you shop online, come and shop with Hammers, Clint, Sevierville, Halls, New Tazewell, and Wartburg, a hometown retailer that supports the community you live in. Open 9 to 6 Monday through Saturday. Don't forget to check out our Hammers Instagram and Facebook. And remember, if you miss a day at Hammers, you'll miss a bargain.
To Hammers. You should see us now.
Me and Russell started the show without y'all. We've just been sitting here talking, going on. Sheriff Russell Barker's here with us today. It's the third Wednesday of the month, and he always generously gives us a little bit of his time. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Just talking about going to these fundraisers. He's been rubbing elbows with Big and Rich, with John Rich. Anyway, that's fun. It's fun stuff, isn't it, when you do some of that stuff?
It was really neat to get the opportunity to go there. We had a good time.
I've met Marsha Blackburn, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, but it's always on the stump, Never had an opportunity to really have a long conversation with her when she was up at the Rocky Top Museum a long time ago. I think when she was her first term when she was running. Had a chance to talk to her a little bit, but what'd you think about her?
She's really nice,
yeah.
and believes and what she's trying to achieve. The really neat thing, at least from my takeaway, is she's pro-American and has conservative values for sure.
Absolutely.
And she's super concerned about some things we're seeing nationally.
I thought for a little while that she might even be a candidate for a running mate for the president. But then you kind of think about Tennessee, he's got that pretty much sewn up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll probably end up going with somebody that can help him somewhere where he needs help. I don't know. But there are a few of those senators and some of these other characters that stand out that I don't know, for whatever reason or another, I just kind of got the feeling that might be a good pick,
Maybe so.
Never know.
Yeah, it's way above my pay grade.
So, was it your affiliation with the Republican Party as a sheriff that got you the invite? Is that
Absolutely, yeah. It wasn't Russell Barker getting invited. It was the sheriff of
You mean you didn't
County.
stroke a couple $100,000 check?
No, I did not. But it was really neat to see that because it was at John Rich's house. And, it was probably about 75 people.
That's cool.
And I think the really neat part was, and I hate to say it because it was a reception for Marsha Blackburn, and she stumped some up there. But the best part was John Rich and his band put on a little mini concert, and that was really cool.
That's super cool. That's super cool. He has raised a lot of money for a lot of conservative politicians and conservative causes, and me and I were talking before we went on the air. He's not limited to being a songwriter or a singer. I mean, he is a entrepreneur. He owns Redneck Riviera down there. He's got his own brand alcohol. He's got I think he even has clothing. I got boots. He's got his boots. Did you see his boots? He's got
I didn't, but
he's got his own line of boots. I've said before I'd like to get a pair, but they're expensive. But
it only lasted 2 hours, and honestly, 2 hours wasn't enough to read everything that was on the walls.
Oh wow!
As I was telling you off the air, I had no idea the songs he had written for other artists.
Yeah.
But we saw all the awards and plaques that were on the wall, and it was just simply amazing.
That's cool.
And what was and you would have really appreciated seeing that. And I'm a country music fan, but I don't have the knowledge you have as far as the industry and the ties. But it was just really cool to see he'd have a guitar mounted on the wall signed by another artist.
Sure.
They swap.
Well, he's a big fan as well as he's a huge fan of other artists as well as you don't really realize that these people that are in the business and are as accomplished as he is, they love other people's music just as much as we love theirs and everybody else's.
Right. So one of the things that stood out, I knew Gretchen Wilson.
Yeah, he brought all them
videos, but I didn't realize how he kind of brought her along and wrote a lot of her songs.
He found her and did and groomed her and put her right out there and took off with it.
Yeah, because there was a lot of awards and stuff from her career in there, or his part of it, I guess.
And I can't remember the year. It wasn't. It was. We hosted our own stage at Fanfare one year, and John had a party at his house that we all got invited to. I ended up not going. Jack went. Jack Ryan went, and a couple other people from the station went, so I didn't get to go. And I've always said, well, dead burn it. I'll have to wait if we ever get nominated again before anybody invites me to go somewhere else. But I can't remember. I went to another party. Obviously it wasn't that memorable,
right.
But I've never got to go do that. But that was cool. I saw that, and I thought, well, good for you.
So I was telling you that
that's the fun part of sheriffing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you get exposed to some things. Otherwise, police officers are not going to get exposed to.
Sure, absolutely.
But the disco ball that was in that room that was shaped like a saddle.
Yeah, that's cool.
It turns out that was the actual saddle that was in Electric Cowboy, I think.
Uh-huh.
And he told the story of how he got it from Gillies.
Cool.
Down in Texas. Yeah, it was really neat. Just the history of it.
That's one thing. stuff, anything that I've got that I've collected in my house is not necessarily the article, it's the story. You know what I mean? It's the story behind it that's the most fun that you get to tell, or that people get to tell you. So, well, cool.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
Pretty neat.
I like starting off with, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on outside of the fun stuff.
Yeah, the world fell apart while I was down there because it was a 2-hour event. We drove down and back, and man, we were busy.
So, we'll just jump right in. You stop me or start me where you want to go, but I know that you had a corrections officer. Allegation was made. You guys began to investigate that, and it opened up a whole another world of problems, didn't it?
Yeah, so there's not a lot I can add outside of the press release, only because the investigation with the TBI is still ongoing, right?
Yeah.
We had an allegation come through to our office via a disclosure being made to one of our employees. And so within the hour, they notified me, so I asked for an internal affairs investigation.
Do you do that? Is there like a protocol? Somebody says, hey, this happened. You got put the brakes on, start the protocol. This is how we do it no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So anytime, whether it's generated, whoever files the complaint, and it really, the complaint itself kind of dictates what you do.
Gotcha.
Right? But in this case, and unfortunately, particularly in a correctional setting, inmates tend to always make allegations. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah.
And so, but and for us, we have to look at every single one of them.
Sure.
Right. And it could be something as simple as bad behavior, like they talked ugly to me, all the way up to I was assaulted,
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so we have to look at them, and the nature of the complaint kind of dictates what we do. But so in this case, it warranted an internal affairs investigation. So we cranked that up immediately, and so like within, I don't know, 20 minutes of me asking for the internal affairs investigation, I notified General Clark and said, hey, this is what's on the radar, because of the just the totality of it all, meaning the inmate who made the disclosure is facing some pretty serious charges herself.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. And so and then in short order, again within the hour, I was back on the phone with General Clark, and we decided that there was at least enough there for that we felt like a third party, being the TBI, needed to come in and take a look at it as well. And so from there, not only did we have the disclosure, but we've uncovered some other crimes, basically. And so as we worked through that at really record speed, in my opinion, TBI did a fabulous job, because it basically you had two investigations going at the same time. You had the TBI on the criminal side, and you had our detectives on the internal affairs side, right?
Yep.
So, and what that basically looks like is we take, our internal affairs takes a second chair to criminal investigation, simply because we're looking for policy violations.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
But when we run across something that becomes criminal, we flip it to them.
Sure.
Right? Because that's going to be their area in this process. And so it's kind of simultaneously doing the same thing. And so when we got enough to get him charged, we did that. And
he's been charged for a number of counts, just from the press release.
There's going to be more.
Okay.
I'm confident of that.
I thought that.
And that's why
you don't want to get.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, I'm not going to drag you into it. I promise. I don't want to. The worst thing we can do is say something to mess up an investigation. But I will ask this: has anyone else been dismissed associated with this? No. Okay.
No, not at the moment. It's one bad apple, honestly. Okay. Now, the potential's there. So when you do an internal affairs investigation, so the Miranda warning, okay?
Okay.
Everybody knows that. You have the right to remain silent. You see it in all the movies, right?
Yeah, be quiet.
In a criminal investigation, we have to give you a Miranda warning. Well, in a internal affairs investigation, we have to give you what's called Garrity, which is the in-house version of the Miranda.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And ironically enough, you, in that particular case, you have really no choice but to cooperate and be truthful under Garrity.
Okay.
So, for example, you're my employee, and somebody makes a complaint that you used excessive force, we'll say, right, on an arrest. The detectives bring you in to do the internal affairs investigation. They read you Garrity, and they say, we would like to interview you over this allegation of excessive force. And as part of this, and I'm just making this up on the fly, let's say that they say you videoed it. Your partner videoed this fight.
Gotcha.
So we want to see your cell phone. We're going to get into your cell phone, and you say, no, you're not. Well, that's a policy violation because you have to cooperate.
And at that point, what happens? They would be.
You can be terminated.
And do you still have the legal access to the phone, or does it have to rise past the policy?
Well, no, yeah. At that point, we'd have to get search warrant.
Gotcha.
Depending on if it's a county issued phone versus your personal
phone.
If it's a county phone, we just get into it. If it's your personal phone, we have to get a search warrant. But in that case, at that point, we have to determine if did the excessive force happen? Two, did it reach the threshold for actual criminal assault? Right.
Yeah.
So an IA can change on a dime to a criminal investigation. Primarily, the policy violations we get, honestly, are operating your emergency vehicle improperly, rudeness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we get. I mean, the bulk of them.
Gotcha.
And so they never reach the
they usually don't get as high as this one has.
As a criminal investigation. It's generally policy violations, what we're looking for. Now, it can happen, and it has happened. However, it's not common by any means.
Let me ask you something. With the stuff that just was in the release involving minors and other stuff, how can you suss that kind of stuff or that kind of person out before you hire him? Because that's completely separate from what he does as your employee. But it popped up. Maybe you had something to do with it, but as far as I can tell, that's just something that was stumbled upon in this investigation.
Yeah.
Or is there a way to do that?
Well, we sure try. So when we hire anybody for any position, we do a background check. Our detectives do a background check, and of course we're looking for all the stuff most employers look for: arrest records, driving history.
Mm-hmm.
We're pulling your driving record. Make sure if you won't drive a patrol car for us, but you
got 100 tickets.
Yeah, probably not a good candidate. You know, so we're looking at those things, and in addition to that, we honestly, and I think it's no secret in today's age, everybody looks at your social media.
Absolutely.
To get an idea of who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so we look at those things, and in addition to that, because of the authority that our people are given under the banner of the sheriff's office, we do psychologicals. We do psychological testing, and we hope that the testing, the intention of the testing is to vet out anything that you can't see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so we're as a result of this, we're definitely going back because this guy slipped through the cracks on the psychological end of it. So we're talking to the group that does our psychologicals and say, is there something else we can add, another layer, or change something up? And look, anytime, and this is a terrible analogy because I sure don't want. I better be careful what I say here. You got to. Anytime the nature of these accusations are shocking, right? Yeah. But we see it constantly with people who it makes national news sometimes when there's people in a position of authority or prominence get wrapped up in something, right?
Yeah.
You have to, and you wonder how it happens, and the secret lives maybe people have. It's tough to say, but we're looking at and reviewing our hiring practices to see if there's something else we could do. The psychological end of it, and look, I'll just be 100% honest with you because I've done those psychs. I've personally taken those psychs, and I've seen my results. Even the best ones look horrible, because
the best ones deem out all the bad stuff. Huh?
Yeah,
they dig it up.
Like, oh man, that looks terrible on paper. But so I remember the very first one I ever took. The psychologist made this comment, and man, I felt like I got ripped off because, it depends on where you're coming from, right? So, like, for example, speaking from my own personal experience, like, there was these list of occupations they were saying. Would you be interested in doing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it ran the gamut, man. And I was viewing it from a standpoint of, like, it would say, would you like to be a DJ?
Okay.
Sure. I wish I had the voice for that,
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I'd do that. They said, would you like to be a florist? Man, I wish I had that talent. Yeah. And they're like, he's got too many interests.
He's indecisive.
Yeah, he's got too many interests. I'm like, no. And one of them specifically was mechanic. And I'm not mechanically inclined. I can give anything if I can work on cars, right? And so I was like, yes, I'll give anything. But I didn't have an interest because I never bothered to.
They just interpreted it.
I'm just like,
you're distracted.
All over the place. Yeah.
So I guess there's more than one way to read them, no matter how you know.
Yeah, the thing is, even the interpretation of it comes down to a human being, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, you have to, it's classic thing in law enforcement, and there used to be a great video out there where they have a classroom. And it was basically a sociology test where the professor is standing up lecturing in the classroom. Some guy runs through and grabs his briefcase on this side of the room, runs out the other side of the room, and everybody's like panicked, right? Mm-hmm. And so then they stopped everything, and then said, "Okay, what did you see individually?" Right?
Yeah.
Well, they all agreed it was a male.
Gotcha.
Some thought he was white. Some thought he was Hispanic.
Gotcha.
Some said, well, he was wearing a hoodie. Others said he wasn't. So the interpretation, right, of what stands out to you, and I can tell you this from my law enforcement career, it's why eyewitness accounts are
is the worst.
But they're the lowest threshold because it's not. Everybody's. It boils down to the individual and what stands out to them.
You can go and look at the same thing and come back and have a different perspective of it. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And that perspective could mean a whole lot.
Happens all the time. So look, how many times have you seen this? Text or emails?
Oh gosh.
And somebody perceives tone that's not intended or not there.
Yeah. It's all the time. It's too much. And to the point now that I've got to where I don't even like to text. You know what I mean? On anything important. Because an LOL can offend somebody when you're, it's just...
Yeah, I think this is why emojis came about.
I hope something.
To say, hey, I'm playing.
Mm-hmm. But different perspectives on different things. So
so I think when it comes to our psychologicals, I think they're trained professionals and they do a very good job. However, at the end of the day, it comes down to human interpretation.
Sure.
And like we said, with eyewitness accounts, those are good, but video's better.
And so this is just we'll proceed. I'm going to guess that your internal stuff done.
For the most part, we have to collect some things, and honestly, our internal affairs investigation will most likely become a portion of the TBI's case file.
So,
because that's kind of what kicked it off. The initial interviews from the internal affairs.
Yeah.
So we have this allegation of misconduct, and at some point our detectives said, okay, this looks like it may be heading to a criminal matter. So we request TBI. TBI comes in, gets brought up to speed. They start their criminal investigation. And so our file is kind of linked to it now.
Gotcha.
So now their side will last much longer than ours.
He's a young guy, though, 28?
28, yeah.
How long have you been with y'all?
Just over 6 months.
So it is new.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
He was from, I think he told me Oklahoma. I'd only met him a couple times.
Gotcha.
And I remember I always go in and speak to our correction classes. And kind of try to set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come in, they have their initial 2 weeks, and I always engage all of them and ask them where you from, and prior corrections experience and stuff. And I remember him saying he was from Oklahoma.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate things, but on one side it's unfortunate. On the other side, I guess it's fortunate you caught it. It at least got caught, for some of the stuff that was out there.
So I think the thing, too, that will make the criminal side, and this holds true for any case of this nature, right? When you have this much digital evidence, right, it gets really difficult and tedious and time consuming to track down when it happens. Now, there's digital fingerprints all over it and timestamps. However, so I could have a video of a crime, but it not necessarily occur here in Anderson County.
Gotcha.
It might have occurred in California.
Does that mean it's out of your jurisdiction?
No. Possession of it is here. Then there's another case in California where it was created.
One time I went down, I was talking to Chief Becker, had some kids that were going through some stuff, and he was just basically giving me a quick class. He was like, look on your kid's phone for something that looks like it's a contact, it's really a secret chat thing, bang, bang, bang. And he was telling me that if kids are sending like nude photos back and forth, they're underage, that they can be charged, that the kids could actually be charged with that as having
production or possession of child pornography. So, yes.
And and that was getting ready. That's where I was going with what's happening with you guys. But does that generate so having it on your phone is illegal?
Yes.
And then it's a different thing from if you created it somewhere else, then that's a whole different ballgame. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, first things first, with the kids as juveniles.
Yes.
So back in the day, that's the way it was, right? So 2 kids are exchanging nudes.
Gotcha.
Well, you've created child pornography.
Yes.
And then you've now distributed it by sending it.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, that has since changed to where it's just unruly behavior.
Okay.
Because
this was like 5 years ago.
Kids are going to do that.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Right. Now, when an adult does it,
game over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Different ball game. It's not unruly behavior on his part,
No.
right? Or her part, whoever it is, and so that's changed. But yeah, so there's this whole digital age we're living in. I mean, it really changes things.
No kidding.
And there's just a boatload of that going on, and even outside of child abuse, right? From a narcotic standpoint, I mean, everybody now, like, it used to be when we, and this sounds so crazy because I've only been the sheriff 6 years, right?
And back in the day, 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I came from the 7th Judicial into office. But, like, you would do a search warrant, find the drugs, and find stacks of cash because nobody put it in the bank because they didn't have legitimate reasons for income, and they're hiding from the IRS too.
Sure.
Well, now people are paying for their drugs through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal,
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, cryptocurrency. Yeah. It's really changed, and from a law enforcement standpoint, we really, you if you're going to be a detective, you literally, you better get comfortable with IT.
Do you foresee a day that you just have a division that is nothing but digital? Do you know what I mean? Just like a team that almost a separate policing agency that is digital.
Probably not my lifetime, but yeah. So we got all those grants. We got about $3 million worth of grants a while back, and one of the things we did with it is we started a terms escaping me. It's how can I forget this? We just got it up and running.
Technology?
Crime analysis unit.
There you go. Dun, dun, dun.
So we have 3 people now in there.
Okay.
Right? And they've got their own little war room and monitors up everywhere, and so we're definitely going that way where we're analyzing different data and the invention of these flock cameras and stuff.
What's a flock camera?
Law enforcement agencies have flock cameras where we can track movement of a suspect's vehicle. It's been around for a while. It's just got to Tennessee, right?
So what is it, like a drone that follows the car?
No, not at all. It's basically, okay, the LPRs, license plate readers, THP's had them for years.
Yeah.
Where they cruise through the parking lot and this computer is just reading tags.
So a computer can tell you this tag goes beep, 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 and you can just follow it.
Yeah. Well, like, for example, on the LPRs, you go through a parking lot and it's just doing its thing. You ain't even looking. So the old school way used to be 122 dispatch,
Yeah.
Registration check, BR 549. They'd say, comes back Ron Meredith.
Exactly.
On 78 Chevrolet,
Yeah. But today it just generates it.
Yeah, it just does it. So the beauty of that is when you go through it, and like if it hits on a tag that's there's a bolo out on, boom, it pops up on your computer screen and says, hey, that car,
Ron's at the Walmart.
They're looking for that car, or that car's stolen. That tag's been reported stolen, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, I better go check this out, see if it's a stolen car or just a stolen tag,
Yeah.
And so the flock system does something similar, right? Now, it's not, and what you're able to do with flock is, the radio station's robbed, and you guys are like, oh, they tied us up. But as I was looking through into the crack of the door, it was a red Ford Fiesta leaving the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can type that into Flock and say red Ford Fiesta, and it'll start pulling up where it's seen red Ford Fiestas.
That's pretty cool.
And that's how you kind of narrow it down.
It's cool, but it's scary
vehicles.
too.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
In the wrong hands, it'd be real scary.
Yeah, but now look, this is technology that's been around. Out west, it's pretty popular in various communities.
Well, I think it's
like neighborhoods,
Sure.
associations, homeowner associations.
Absolutely. I think it's a great tool for law enforcement.
Yeah.
It's just, if you want to break the law, it makes it a lot more difficult.
But yeah, it's just technology's really, it's out there.
Well, and it's moving, at least it's moving faster than I know how to keep up with it. It really is. Things get, talking about all this. I watched a thing the other night on artificial intelligence and how it multiplies itself. It teaches itself, it learns, and there will be a moment, or at least this was Elon Musk, to where the technology will outpace us, where it'll think faster than we do, which is what everybody is kind of worried about. But that's why I say I feel like one day every law enforcement, I think you're always going to have boots on the ground. You're always going to have men and women out there keeping the peace. But I think one day you'll have a whole just division of nothing but digital searches, digital surveillance, digital crime, all of it,
Well, so I can remember too, cell phone dumps when that was new.
When they dump all the information off a phone, yeah.
That was really cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
Because, it used to be you get a search warrant for a cell phone, and you just have to get in there and manually
go
scroll.
through it.
Right.
Yeah.
But as that changed, technology caught up to where you just download what's on that data. Because these are nothing more than mini computers.
You're happy with the way that it happened, and the way that your officers and DA and TBI, you good with how all this went down?
Complete home run on our part.
Okay.
Honestly.
Good.
And I think that it's unfortunate. It's more than unfortunate. But I'm glad this guy, the light's being shown on this guy.
Well, I'll tell you something.
If it indeed is true, he's guilty of what he's been accused of.
Well, and
we want him out of our ranks.
One thing that I really appreciate, I've told Shane this, and I've probably told you this before. I think the best way to handle a situation like this is you all get out in front of it before it gets spread in the community. There's this guy, because when that happens, it tarnishes what you're trying to do, I think. It's like, I know sometimes you have to set on an investigation before you can talk about it.
Absolutely.
And stuff starts creeping out about, oh, did you know this happened? That happened. But I've found at least that when you guys can, you release stuff as quick as you can, and it not only helps us in our business, my business, but I think that it also it quells any of that, people thinking, wondering, distrusting, the cover up. That's It's like Shane sent me a thing, said, hey, there's a plane went down, dude. I was like, what? He goes, hang on, I'm finding it out as you are, but I'm just letting you know, heads up. He was giving me information as you guys were getting information, stuff I couldn't release.
That's one of the things we've done. Under different administrations, you've seen different
policies.
Yeah, and like you've seen, Hollywood used to be public information officer and all this. So that was one of the things we did. We have, quote unquote, a PIO unit right now. Nobody's full-time PIO at our agency. We're not large enough to have that. So the best we can come up with is Shane.
Yeah.
No. We've got.
I take that as good.
No,
I think you did good.
It's actually Galloway, Shane, and myself, right?
Okay. Yes.
And because particularly with something like this, the media can, everybody's got somebody's cell phone, right? And so we try to mainstream that through one gate, and between three of us, somebody's going to respond, right? So, for example, if you reached out to Shane and said, Shane, I got a report of house fire over here and potentially somebody in it. So Shane instantly puts that on our PIO thread.
Gotcha.
And if Galloway's in the office, he can check the CAD or whatever.
Sure.
And then that's also how we run through, particularly with the TV stations when they request interviews.
You got it all right there.
We put it out there. Who takes this? Who's going to do this one? And Shane doesn't like this, but generally, if it's good news, you're going to see me. If it's bad news, you're going to see Shane. If you see Galloway, that means everybody's out of town.
I love it. Well, it's good. It's helpful. It's very helpful for, getting news out to the community. It's very helpful for us as radio stations wanting to know and more information. Most of the time, the cover-up, if there ever is a cover-up, is way worse than what's going on.
So therein lies part of the problem, too, that the media understands it, but the general public doesn't. Okay? Mm-hmm. Our number one priority is the investigation, criminal investigation, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want to release anything that's going to jeopardize justice being served.
Gotcha.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So people can say, they'll be, oh man, this don't pass the smell test. The sheriff's office is not telling us details. Well, sometimes bad guys don't know what we know.
And you don't want them to know what you know. Exactly.
Because it could lead to the destruction of evidence. Or, because like in this case, with this former corrections officer of ours, he made bond. So he's out.
Gotcha.
So if you say too much, you could...
You just don't want to show anything you don't want to show.
Right.
I get it. I do. I get it. What else is going on as far as law enforcement? I'll tell you what, let me take a really quick break. My phone keeps buzzing real quick, and I want to look at it, but I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Yeah, yours too. Hope nothing's going on that important that we're ignoring while we sit here and talk. All right, we'll be right back, folks, just in a moment.
Experience it all at Ray Varner Ford in Clinton. Need a quick fix or routine maintenance? Visit our Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center. Keep your Ford running smoothly with the experts in our service and parts department. Ready for your next Ford? Our sales team is here to assist you in finding the perfect vehicle. I'm Ray Varner. Let us guide you through the process. Drive home a 24 Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive, $49,996 with 1.9% financing and a 2-year, 30,000-mile maintenance plan. Take advantage of a 23 Ford F-150 4x4 STX Super Cab priced at $45,953 with 3.9% financing up to 60 months, or choose 1.9% financing on 72 months. Go for the 24 Ford Maverick XL all-wheel drive, $28,540. And that's not all. At Ray Varner Ford, we're proud to be the first dealer in East Tennessee to discount the full-size 24 Badlands Bronco, now available for just $59,829. Local you trust, experience you can afford. Ray Varner Ford in Clinton, I-75 exit 122, or shop us online at rayvarnerford.com. Stock number T1475, T1375, DT7917, T1511 with free credit after Ford factory rebate and Ray Varner Ford discount.
All right, guys, we're back. Somebody wants to ask you a question. Is that all right, Chief?
Yeah, please.
All right, Sheriff. Good morning. Do you have a question for Sheriff Barker this morning?
Yes, I do. And
all right. Go ahead.
And what I wanted to know is, why don't they do like they used to do when they these teenagers and early 20s and everything guys, they get in trouble a little bit, whatever, they having a little weed on them or caught drinking a beer or something like that, and why don't they have them forced to, or have them choose to go to military or go to jail? Why don't they,
make that an option?
To be.
Okay. You want to hang out and listen?
Yeah, sorry.
I said, you want to hang up and listen to Russell's response?
Sure.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Bye.
I personally think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it did used to be that way.
Well, you know what? Tracy Wandell will tell you without any qualms that changed the direction of his life when he got into a little bit of trouble and the judge said, here's your choice. And he went to the military, and now he's one of our longest serving and best commissioners, and it changed a lot of his life. He'll tell you that. I'm not speaking out of school either.
Yeah, I would agree. So in basic training, that's where I learned how to iron. That's where I learned how to tie. I mean, just some very simple life skills that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a great option. I don't know from a legal standpoint, right, how that really looks or works, but it seems like we have more common sense than anything back then.
Well, and I think judges had a little more room to navigate than they do today. Because if a judge were to do that today and somebody would appeal it, it would get overturned on it. You can't force him into the military or whatever. But they used to give choices, it seemed.
Yeah, so it's... I think it would be a fabulous idea because I think you do a lot of growing up in there. And sometimes those seeds that get planted in the military don't sprout until you're older, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, because it gives you some sense of purpose, and I personally have encouraged countless. There's a kid right now at Clinton High School that he come to me because he wanted to play football at the next level, but he didn't get any full rides. His grades are iffy at best.
Gotcha.
Right? He did not focus on academics.
Gotcha.
You know, and
been there, done that.
And, yeah, and I told him, I said, dude, you really need to go pull one term in the military. Go. And I said, and I promise you, in 4 years when you get out, you've accomplished more than most of your classmates have.
Yeah.
And you're good to go, and you got cash stacked up.
Congressman Flashman's having his military day where they bring in West Point and all these schools. I think it's this weekend down in Chattanooga that he's doing that. He sits and gets to introduce these kids to, I guess, all these recruiters. I don't know if they're Army recruiters. I don't know how that works when you go into a military academy.
Yeah, so I've sat in on one of those panels before for Congressman Flashman. So basically, these kids coming in are like some of the best and brightest.
Yeah, they're the big...
And they're basically applying for these different military schools. And this panel of people, and look, I think somebody canceled last minute, and that's why I got to go. Because I was in there with West Point graduates, Naval Academy graduates. I mean, I was outgunned bad. You know, I was just over here saying, I remember watching you play basketball, you know, and I didn't have anything worth saying, right?
I got it.
But, yeah, it's impressive. These kids are generally ROTC, but they're all scoring really high on the ACT. And they're trying to get into these military academies.
Trey's going to UT, and I don't. If he wanted to go in the military, I'd support him, but I don't. You know, I'm
a little scary time.
A little scary time to do it. But at one point, he was in ROTC, and he flourished. He did tremendous in it, and they really encouraged him to continue. But he came to a conflict with band and ROTC. They were both on the same block, and so he had to pick one or the other. And he's like his dad. He's cursed with music.
Yeah,
so that's what he did. Now, that said, he's in the Pride of the Southland Band. They're getting ready. He will be marching next year, and that's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
And pulled over a 30 on his ACT. So, yeah, he's in the 30-plus clubs. I'm proud of him. But I see these kids that if they do have a struggle like that, like you were talking about, you know, Air Force is a great place. I mean, I know at least two kids that I graduated with that we all struggled through school. They went through the Air Force and were able to turn great careers coming out, you know, change the whole trajectory of their life.
Yeah, so I got a friend, was a year behind me in school. He got out, he joined the Air Force, and he has traveled the world. He's got an incredible retirement. He's sitting at the house. I'm not, you know.
Well, I said the same thing. One of my best friends, we walked out of college. We went into ETSU. After the first semester, he said, this is not for me. And he joined the Marines, and he retired from the Marines at 38 after 20 years. Then he went to the post office. He retired from the post office at 58.
Yeah, you know? Career. And happens all the time.
There you go. And now he's a preacher.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows?
It's
out there. People don't realize what you can make of it. They just look at it as you're going in there to be a soldier or fight and be told what to do. But you can make of it anything you want that's available now.
And honestly, you can. That honestly holds true though for everything.
I agree. It's what you make of it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, we talked about our academic careers in high school, right? So, yeah, I did.
I was a C student.
Me too.
That's what I was.
I literally did just enough.
Enough to get by.
Because a D got me in trouble at the house.
Yeah.
A C.
C kept the peace.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
It was just enough.
I got the encouragement. Now you can do better than this. But if I kept a C, I was okay.
Yeah. So here is some. Let me give you a great story.
Okay.
That will really kind of sum up my academic career, right? I was a C student too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally a C student, right? So I get out, and I'm going to go to college. Well, I start off at Rome State, right? And I dabbled in politics.
Oh, Lord. That early.
I became a freshman senator.
Okay.
Right? I soon after got unseated because I ended up on academic probation. Because instead of going to class, I was playing hacky sack. Right?
I gotcha.
So, but it literally, I honestly, like, I never gave up on it. But it took me, but I was so immature, it took me forever to keep grinding. But I did have the tenacity to stay in there. I mean, this is no joke. It took me 15 years to get an associate's. I mean, because
better now than get it in 15 than not.
Because what happened is I did not appreciate the opportunity I had at the moment.
Absolutely.
And I didn't take it serious. And so I'd end up on academic probation, then I'd drop out and go to work. Well, and then because I was making such great decisions, I was getting credit card debt. And so all of a sudden I had to work.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I kept plugging along, and then eventually got my bachelor's. And but it didn't have to be that hard.
I got you.
It didn't have to be that hard. But again,
when did you go into service? When did you go through basic?
I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I joined the reserves.
Gotcha.
Over in Alcoa because I knew I was in and out depending on what semester it was, and then and honestly, out of all the seriousness there, it wasn't joining the Marine Corps Reserves wasn't about hey, I got to do something. I got to learn something. It wasn't nothing like that. Saddam Hussein at the time was saying,
yeah,
it's going to be another Vietnam. So me and my knucklehead friends were like,
sign up.
We better, well, if we're going to get drafted,
you're going to do, let's pick where we want. Yeah.
Let's be Marines.
Yeah.
So we go over there and join that. Of course, the first Gulf War lasted 35 days.
Yeah.
I wasn't even out of basic before it was over with. We're like, what do we do?
Still worked out.
But yeah, so the thing is and of course nowadays there's no difference between reserves and active duty almost because everybody gets activated so often.
Yeah. I know many people who've served in the reserves, and they've been called up. Well, I know one guy's been called up 4 times.
Yeah, so it's but at the end of the day, the military is a great option, and particularly if you don't know what it is you want to do yet, right? You haven't found what your passion's going to be. I promise you, you're not wasting time.
See, I think my problem was that I did know exactly what I wanted to do, and nothing else mattered. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't care about calculus. I'm not going to need it. I'm going to talk for a living. I knew that when I was 12 years old. But, as you grow up, and Lord's blessed me with a good career, but, as you grow up and you look at how things could have been, or how much easier my life would have been if I'd have just had just a little bit more education and not had to learn it by knocking my head on the wall.
100%.
So I've tried to tell that to my children, and they're like, I know what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah, well, that's good, but it's okay that you learn all this other stuff too. So we digress. But yes, to the caller, if there was a way to do that, that would probably be a great option for some young men and young women, for that matter, to be able to go and get a grip on themselves.
So in the midst of all this, and I've got to get to my next appointment, but in the midst of all this, we had the plane crash.
I was going to say, we've had a plane crash, we've had this, we've got stuff going on at school. You guys have been busy. Okay.
The plane crash was, when that page came out, it just was.
Is that a different type of call than a normal traffic call? Does the FAA put something out? We've distress call, or was it just?
I'm not positive how we got it.
Okay.
I just know we have this command page that comes out that covers a gamut of stuff: house fires, pursuits, all this thing, just letting us know that something's happening, some action's going down, right?
Yeah.
And it could be home invasions, burglary in progress, anything like that. So this came out, reported of possible plane crash, and it'll give you just quick details. Caller said plane was flying low, something along those lines, and so I'm seeing it come through, giving us updates. Right, patrols responding to the area to see if they see anything, and I could be completely wrong on this, but I think debris was in someone's yard. That's what kicked it off for us.
So, yeah, that's the first report I got. Somebody had heard it and found stuff in their yard.
Yeah. So, and this is the second plane crash that we've had in 6 years. The first one was a really small plane up in Oliver Springs.
I remember that.
That little airfield they have up there that most people don't even know about. Right? But this, in this case, and plane crashes are really different for us because our role is pretty minor in it. And I hate to say that because it's big, but it's not in the sense of the investigation part of it. It's not.
Well, it's kind of out of your all's wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yes,
exactly.
So at each time it happens, we go and of course your volunteer fire departments, rescue squad responds. And we're there, and our job is to secure the scene, right? EMS goes.
Yeah.
In this case, Claxton Volunteer Fire Department sent their people. EMS came, you're looking for any survivors, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is contain the sites. Now, in this particular case, there was probably 5 places, crash site, and then anywhere there was debris. And then we had Knox County sent over a guy from their aviation immediately to us. He was tremendous help because he's in that FAA world, and he said, okay, this is what I already know they're going to want, right?
They basically told you how to do it.
So, of course, FAA sending people from around the country.
Yes.
So they ain't coming fast. Gotcha. They got to catch a flight.
Yep.
So we spent a lot of man hours sitting on debris and the crash site because we have to secure it.
Have they determined? Has a determination been made? What? How? Why?
No,
nothing yet.
But we have a working theory for what it's worth.
Okay, working theory.
So did you see Weekend RV? What happened over there?
Yes, the tops are blown off.
Yeah, I think they. And this is Sheriff Barker's opinion, not anything in an official capacity. Because we do know the gentleman was heading to Michigan. He flew up from Florida, stopped at McGee Tyson to refuel, and then
was on his way, up to Gerald Ford Internet, whatever it is.
Wherever he was going, right? Yeah. He was from Michigan, I guess I should say, but he was just stopped off at Knox County
Piper Saratoga. Is that what the kind of plane it was?
I think so, yeah. And he just refueled, right? And bottom line is there was some anomaly of a wind.
It was those down.
And because it shredded Weekend RV. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was stunned when I saw that. It literally looked like a tornado through there. Now, I haven't seen anything from the Weather Service saying tornado touchdown.
Straight line winds, I think, is what they called it.
But I think that plane got caught up in that. And I think that explains why the debris was so scattered. Like, it wasn't like, in a plane that has some kind of mechanical malfunction, as it gets closer to the ground, you start losing parts as it starts clipping trees and hitting the ground. Well, this thing was everywhere.
So it
kind of come apart in the air is what I think.
It's got hit with those winds. It's just been more than it could.
How horrifying.
And since he had just taken off from McGee Tyson, I don't know how high he could have climbed to get over it. Yeah. I don't know how. Again, you don't know what the storm ceiling is or any of that kind of stuff.
As far as aviation goes, McGee Tyson to where the crash site was is not far at all.
No straight line as a crow flies. He see, that's all that'll come out, and I don't know if he had was able to fly by instruments, if he was just flying by. Usually, Piper Saratoga is a pretty small plane. I think 4 people. I can't remember if it's 162 or whatever. But I don't know what kind of instruments that he had, but he should have had a full detailed, before he left McGee Tyson, full detailed weather report. But again, who would have predicted that the certain pockets were going to get hit like they hit? At my house, my flagpoles, moved back and forth, my bird houses, and it was a storm. Yeah. Down there, it was catastrophe. You know what I mean? Literally, there's a whole different thing that hit, 4 miles down the road than hit at my house. So.
And I think it's worth noting, too, that anytime we have stuff like that is really out of our wheelhouse, EMA, our emergency management bunch here locally, they're critical to us.
Without getting in too deep, did it just clip and come down through the trees? Did it run into something when it came down?
I honestly do not know.
Okay.
I honestly do not know. I just know
parts of it came apart.
Yeah, and we were scrambling to find off-duty deputies and reserves who were available because it's around the clock, 24 hours.
Do you have any idea what the debris path was as far as
miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sure I can find that out. But
well, I'm gonna bet it's not too awfully far, because that whatever it was, that weather that came through, it came in and came out really quick. It wasn't like a wide weather pattern, so either flew right through it or over top of it or something. So when it,
that would be,
I don't know, and it depends on how fast he was going at that point. I mean, whatever.
That's where you could use that calculus.
That's it.
That's why we didn't call you, Ron.
That's why you don't ever. You know what? If you need me to tell everybody what you need told, I'm your man. But if you need me to figure it out, so just
no math.
No mas. So, anything else you want folks to know?
I don't think so. We've had a really busy week. Our people did a fabulous job, worked themselves to death.
Been a lot of extra hours, huh? A lot of, but not overtime, but a lot of extra effort and stuff put in. All right, as always, I always appreciate you coming in. I always like to give you the opportunity to talk about anything you want to talk about.
I do appreciate.
I appreciate you taking questions, even. I'm always really not. I'm not worried about taking questions. I always just like to make sure that people want to ask respectful questions, and I love our audience. They're good.
We'll talk about what we can.
There you go. All right, Sheriff Russell Barker. He comes in on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, and if nothing else, we have good stories. Even if it's a boring month, we're going to have some good stories when Russell comes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12. Or listen live online at WYSHradio.com. And remember, if you have a question, comment, or problem, call in tomorrow and ask your neighbor. Or email from our